Can we just start off with a bit of housekeeping? Team news after a brilliant win against Spurs. What's the latest? Any knocks at all, or what's the latest?
No, everybody was okay. We've just been recovering this morning, and everybody feels good. So no problems. Obviously, the only one's Eves for suspension, but everybody else should be okay.
And Stephen Alzate, I know he missed the game due to illness. Is he available?
Well, he's back in training. He just did a light session today, so we'll see how he is. But there's a chance that he could be involved in the squad, yeah.
And your reflections on such a brilliant performance and win against Spurs. What are your thoughts on that? 48 hours on, if you like.
Yeah, like I said after the game, really proud of the players. Really good performance. Probably one of the best, if not the best. In my time at the club, I would say. So, and I think you have to have that type of level of performance if you're going to get a result at Tottenham. You see, historically, it's not easy for us to go there and win. So, totally proud of the players. They gave everything on the day, and that gives you a chance to get a result. Supporters were brilliant. It was just a really good day for everybody at the club.
How much heart and encouragement does that result give you? Plus, obviously, the result at Arsenal, when now you're going to Manchester City, who Mark Cucurella described this morning as probably the best team in the world at the moment.
Well, it gives you confidence, I guess, in terms of that we've played some good games. I mean, the season's been quite good in that regard. We've taken a step forward, I think, but as we said many times, what you've done in the past is the past, and you have to start again against an absolutely fantastic side. So, we have to, I would say, be even better than we were against Spurs. And that's the challenge. It's very, very rare that you get the opportunity to play against the very, very best in any sport. So, whilst it's an incredible challenge, it's also exciting. You should see it as a great opportunity, and we'll go there and do our best.
You described some of Yves Bissouma's play at Spurs as Champions League level after the game, Graham. He's going to be missing for the next two games. How much of a setback is that for the team, and how do you go about trying to find to replace what he brings to the team? Well,
I think the game against Spurs was really good from him. As I said after the game, you see his actions, you see his quality, and so I thought it was at that level. But we've played games without ease before, and we've done well as a team. We have to find that solution. That's the challenge. But the group's in a really good place. We've got a lot of players that are itching to play, that want to help the team. So that's going to be the exciting bit of the next couple of days, to try to find the right ones to come in and help.
Manchester City, obviously they had a very hard game, their Champions League game against Atletico Madrid. They lost an FA Cup semi-final. Got a couple of injury concerns. Is this perhaps a good time to play them?
I don't think any time is a good time to play them in terms of how they are as a team. I mean, even the game the weekend, you see the quality. You sort of admire them just as much in defeat as you do when they're playing and winning games, because, like you said, they had a tough two games against Atletico Madrid, which in the Champions League is, you can only imagine how tough that is, in between two Liverpool matches. To come back and play Liverpool like they did, to recover from being 3-0 down at half time, to play the second half like they did. I think there's a 1v1 at 3-1 that's after about 60 minutes, that if that goes in, the game's 3-2, and all of a sudden the narrative can be completely different. I mean, that's just the difference, the fine margins, and we all know you get judged on results and titles, etc., etc. But the way they acted in that second half was very, very impressive, and they're fantastic.
And just finally from me, a lot of the fans will be looking at the last two results and thinking, wow, I'm absolutely brilliant, back-to-back away wins at clubs vying for Champions League places. How can Brighton win those games, but they went 6 games straight defeats and they couldn't beat Norwich home and away? How do you explain it?
Well, it's football. It's simple as that. I mean, that's why we love the game so much. Sometimes even just the way the question is, it's almost like seen as a negative. but it's part of football. We've missed. We could have put our penalties away, for example, and be closer to the European spots. But we've missed penalties and little margins here and there, and all of a sudden as I said, after the Manchester United game, we lost both our centre backs. Things happen, they destabilise the team or the way you set up. So you have to recover, but we've taken steps again, I think, and we're on 40 points now with 6 games to go. The challenge for us is to try to get as many points as we can between now and the end of the season, and you assess and you go, okay, how can we improve again? But it's been a good experience for us all, I think, to suffer, because you need to suffer sometimes to enable you to grow.
Thank you.
And there seems to have been a big difference pre and post the international break. How well timed, how successful was that break for you?
Well, I said, I think last week or certainly before, that we were suffering up to the international break for different reasons. As I said, we played Manchester United 0-0 at half time, going quite well, and then lose our centre back to a red card, and then Adam gets injured as well. So both of those are away. Poor performance against Burnley, and then all of a sudden it can take you a little bit of time. Then you play Newcastle away, which was they were going through a really good. I think Eddie Howe was manager of the month at that point. Then you play Liverpool, then you play Tottenham. Pretty quickly it becomes the end of the world, and you suffer, and then you have to sort of dig in and find a way. Thankfully, the international break gave us that time just to reset a little bit, which we I think used well. The guys that went away with the national teams had a good experience, and then the ones that were working here worked fantastically well. So, and that enabled us, I think, to perform well against Norwich. Even though we didn't win, it's as I keep saying, it's probably the most dominant performance we've had in the Premier League since I've been here. Even though we didn't win, it gave us a bit of confidence and a bit of belief to sort of move forward, and probably that helps us get the results we did against Arsenal and Spurs.
We've spoken to a couple of players today who've praised your calmness, the way you can keep everyone and bring everyone together in those times of suffering. And as much as every player always says they don't read headlines, they don't read comments, young men, social media is such a big part of their lives. So how difficult is it doing that part of your job to keep all the noise out?
Well, it's impossible to keep the noise out from a collective perspective, because like you said, human beings, they go away and then you can't control what they read or what they listen to. I mean, that's pretty much impossible. I can control what I listen to and what I take in, which I think then can help me with the messaging that I give the players, because clearly if I'm listening to all the stuff that's going on outside, then that can affect my I'm not saying mental health, but it's certainly to a certain extent it does. So you have to make sure you can stay clear of all the noise, and then you can help the players. I would always advise them to be careful with social media, be careful what you listen to. It's tough. It's tough for the modern day player. It's the main difference, I would say, from when I was a player. You get a bit of stick and it'd be a local paper and maybe it on the ground, but then you can get on with your life. I mean, these days it's everywhere, so you have to make a bit of a decision, and you have to be really strong in terms of who you listen to and the perspective you have, and that's how we can help them. I think we've done that quite well. But it's about adapting in the modern world, and that's the modern world these days.
And we've spoken a fair few times of how the narrative can swing wildly just on the basis of a couple of results. And you have to speak to us idiots so often, before games, after games. Is it fair to say you enjoyed the post-match media duties on Saturday? There seemed to be a couple of, when you said you pick and choose the things you listen to, talking about it being apocalyptic a couple of weeks ago and things, I thought clearly you enjoyed that few minutes.
Well, I think it was mine. You have a win and everything feels better. That's for sure. I mean, the media have a role to play. It's a really important role to play. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So you have to understand that. And from I believe in the freedom of speech. So therefore, people can say whatever they want to say. It's the decision for me is what you let in and how you let that affect you. and I'm not, even though I keep it away and I don't listen to it, by the nature of the questions, by the nature of the interactions, you know that it's like, yeah, it can be seen as negative, or there's negativity out there, which when you've lost 6, then you accept it. You know, it's like, it's no point me arguing with that. That's the truth. So you have to accept it, and then you have to carry on working. Everyone's a right to their opinion, as I've always said, but I have also a right to decide whether I listen to it or not.
Just 2 players. You mentioned Yves' absence. I saw that last season he started, I think, 35 Premier League games, but this season you've started a third without him. Are you in better? Is the squad better equipped now to perform without him? And in fact, without any of the players, you can fill any gaps you're presented with.
Well, we've been tested this season with that, I would say, and that's probably the biggest step we've taken. If you'd have said at the start of the season we'd be without Lewis Dunk for the time that we've had, then I think we'd be really concerned. But actually, the team handled that quite well. Obviously, we want Lewis Dunk available. Same with these Bissouma, same with all the players, but this year, more than any, I would say we've been tested a lot with that. Adam Webster, Adam Lallana, Danny Welbeck, Tariq Lamptey, for different periods. We've had to suffer with that, and that's what makes it even better where we are now. Because for a club of our size, you need things to go your way, really, to make sure that you can keep getting the points in the Premier League. And regardless of what we've had to do this year, we've managed to keep points ticking all over, and now we're on 40 with 6 to go. So that says a lot for the players and how they've stuck together and how we've, as a group, grown, I think. So that, like you said, the question about can we deal with things a little bit better, probably, yeah, as much as we want all our players available.
And just to highlight my own ignorance, Moyes' name came up a fair few times through the season. I didn't really know anything about him, and then you see him the last 2 games. He doesn't look like someone who's never played in the Premier League before last week. How impressed, how spectacular has his start been?
Well, it's been really impressive, but it's been a strange one because he's played a lot of big games and he's had some really positive experience with his national team. So it's not like he's coming from nowhere. And we knew his quality. It's just at the time we started off the season well. He was on low and he came back, trying to find maybe the right time to play him, the right situation. In the end, we probably, as it looks now, took too long to put him in the team, because that's the last 2 games he's been fantastic. But his quality's always been there. We've always believed in the player and always believed in what he can do. It's just, as I said, try to find the right time to put him in. Absolutely delighted with how he's contributed to the team. You're not going to meet a nicer guy, and when you have those 2 combinations, it's a nice story.
Thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Brent, how difficult was it to... sorry, can you hear all right?
Yes, Johnny, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Another idiot here.
No.
I know it was
That's a bit harsh, by the way. I didn't refer to anybody as an idiot, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know you didn't. He'll pay for it, don't worry. How difficult was it to take off Enoch at half-time? Because he's such an important player. He scored goals, assists, but I mean, especially now with Eve being suspended, it looks like a good decision, but it must have been difficult.
Yeah, it was, yeah, but you could tell the atmosphere, and obviously Spurs aren't they know what they're doing in terms of any challenge, any contact. It puts pressure on the referee, and it made it a bit difficult for us to continue with him, really. Obviously there's a couple of tactical decisions as well, that we could use Danny's running power in behind, in the anticipation that I might start to go a little bit longer, but yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, because he's an attacking midfielder, really, I suppose, but you played with Alexis. You didn't really play with a recognised centre forward. You had Alexis as the central role. Up at Liverpool you did it with Leandro. Do you think we might see more of that in the future, in terms of not having the word striker, I suppose? Is it a bit redundant now, that word?
Well, no, there's always room, and there's always a place for a striker, a centre forward, absolutely. It just depends on the team we're playing and how we want to go about the game and the profile that we need in certain positions. I think it's just like any other position, really. We've tried to utilise the resources we have as smartly, intelligently, whatever word you want to use, as possible, and try and ask the guys to do things that they're good at fundamentally. But that's not to say that we won't ever use, a more conventional striker in the future. Absolutely not. It just depends on how we want to play the game.
What's been the reaction from Neil? He must have been disappointed not to feature last couple of games.
No, our reaction has been fantastic. Of course he wants to play, and of course he's disappointed when he doesn't. But at the same time, he's been a fantastic team player this year, supporting the guys, happy for them to win. Being really professional in terms of training really well, so that when he's called upon, which he will be, then he's ready to help the team.
In terms of Manchester City, you're a bit fearful after what happened to them at the weekend. That there might be a bit of a reaction from them.
Well, I don't think you should be fearful, but certainly I understand what you mean. They're as I said earlier, amazing side, amazing team. The way they, I think the way they played the second half at Wembley shows you a lot about their quality and about their character and about how tough they've had it, but they're pushing Liverpool all the way. They're inspirational, I would say, in terms of how they act. Pep's been there a while. Sometimes you think, well, there's a messages the players just maybe take a little foot off and maybe the messages aren't quite so powerful, but you watch it and they just act unbelievably. They're champions. They're people make an assessment of them based on wins and based on titles, but from a coaching perspective, how they act, it's incredible.
And I guess as a coach, two very different styles, different managers. It must be actually quite exciting to watch this rivalry between the two at the top of the Premier League.
Well, both teams have given so much, haven't they, to the Premier League? They've raised the level. Two of the best teams that certainly in my lifetime that I've seen. So to have them competing at the top, it just gives everybody, like I said, it's inspiration for everybody else to see how they can improve. But they're two fantastic teams.